How's it going, everyone? So, to start off, to get into like why I titled the video this, I'm basically just going to talk about the plans with the car and the deadlines I originally have. Also, I am going to be working on stuff. I have a new GKTECH Shifter I'm going to be installing on the transmission. So later on, I will actually start working on things. But for now, I'm just going to talk about the decisions I basically ended up making. So I originally intended on being able to drive the Drift League this season. I wasn't planning on doing it anytime soon. I was hoping to just kind of like jump in on one of the last events, get my competition in, and be like, all right, I did it. Like I used the car to what I wanted it to do this season, and then continue building it and driving it and getting better, and then competing the full season next year. But I'm honestly thinking it's going to be a little bit of a waste of money. The reason being is that a lot of those guys run a lot more horsepower, they have a lot more money, and they run a lot more grip to where it's gonna be hard for me to keep up. Yes, I could like overcome with the skill that I have or something like that. Like I'm not saying I'm better than them, but I guess there's that like excuse to still be able to do it. But the thing is that Irwindale, where they do it, is an oval track, and oval tracks are all about speed and grip. There's not any kind of like precise cornering or anything like that. Like there would be at like Top Drift with Horse Thief Mile, the way they set up balcony, and yeah. So like basically my car would be a lot more set up, or a lot better set up to compete there, and I would have a lot better chance with the horsepower I'm gonna be running, because it's only gonna be like 350, maybe 400 if I'm lucky. To where like it would be worth the money for me to spend on nice tires, the entry fee, the trailer and everything like that, and possibly have a better chance at winning, or at least placing podium, which would obviously be nice. But yeah, another thing is the tech inspection for Top Drift is a lot more lenient. I think they changed it to be like that recently for some reason, but like I don't even think you need SFI seats anymore, which is nice. It's also cool because it kind of like gives everyone a chance to be able to compete, because there's not really any other competitions around here like that are for grassroots drifters, where they're not Pro-Am sanctioned or anything like that. But you know, it's cool because I feel like they focus more on the driver's skill, not how much money they have to prepare their car. Granted, yeah, the Drift League is supposed to like prepare you for Pro 2. It's pretty difficult for someone who doesn't have the Pro 2 sponsors, or have been driving for a long time and have all the social media attention, to be able to afford to do that stuff. So here was basically my options. I could try to do the Drift League, pretty much buy a crappy racing suit for $100, which was the original plan, to where I literally would look like I'm going go-karting. Like it would be stupid. My car would be thrown together, barely tested on like the few sets of tires that I would be able to use without having to spend a bunch of money for the tires for the Drift League, to actually have nice grippy tires. I'm not gonna know how the car feels that well. Like I might be able to drive it well, like I don't know. I might be terrible at driving it. It might not be set up correctly, but I just don't think it's going to be worth paying the entry fee and everything that it would cost for me to do the Drift League, when I would have to go back and then buy a bunch of other stuff to correct all like the cheap routes that I took. So I'm not going to do the Drift League this season. My deadline for the event that I want to drive next is now going to be All-Star Bash, which is going to be super fun because I'm going to have a lot of friends there and stuff, and that'll be like a good way to test my car from the multiple tracks that are open at Willow Springs. And then next year, I'm gonna go and do Top Drift. So that's basically gonna be the plan for me. I just don't have the money, I guess, and time to really be able to jump into the Drift League. Otherwise, like I definitely would. It would be cool. But yeah, I'm just gonna pretty much do what's better suited for my car and my style of driving, and go to Top Drift for a while. Eventually, like if I get like Lexan windows, rear mount radiator, all this crazy stuff, and have my car like way better set up, and I've been driving it for a while, I'll go do the Drift League just because it's close. But for now, I'm probably gonna stick to Top Drift, and the next big deadline for me to be able to like fully drive the car, which doesn't include testing because I'm gonna do a test day before, is going to be All-Star Bash now. So yeah, but those are my intentions with the car. I want to drive Pro-Am. I really just want to drive it as much as possible. Yeah, I haven't really talked about that too much, so there you guys go. So moving on from my hopes and dreams being lost, just kidding. There's always next year, like, it doesn't really make too big of a difference, but I have this GKTECH Shifter relocation for my transmission, which is gonna put the mounting bracket and everything a lot more forward. I've seen someone else use this same pretty much setup in their FRS, and their shifter was like way back where they had to cut stuff. So I'm really hoping that this lines it up perfectly to where it's gonna work for you guys, because it's not the most expensive shifter, and it seems like it feels pretty good from what I've heard from people. So hopefully it works out. Basically what comes in the box is a sticker, which is kind of cool. Their bracket, which I'm gonna paint actually really quick before I put all this on, because it's just raw metal. Then their actual shifter and all the hardware for it. So now I'm gonna go ahead and paint this, and basically while it's drying, I'm gonna be able to take apart everything else on the transmission, like the old bracket and everything. And then by the time I'm done with that, hopefully it will be dry, and then I can start installing it. All right, so it's all painted. Just the gold color that I use for everything, like the intake manifold and valve covers. Oh yeah, by the way, this is like all put together now. It's pretty easy. Like, all you have to do is just slap the valve covers on with the like 4 bolts, and then the coil packs bolt on pretty easily too. So you guys didn't miss anything. The intake manifold isn't actually on. I just said it there because I got excited, but yeah, nothing's like actually really put together yet besides the valve covers and the coil pack. So don't worry, I'm not like skipping ahead without you guys. But yeah, everything's coming together though. So first things first, I'm gonna take out the bolts for the bracket, and I'm gonna get rid of some of this extra stuff that's on the transmission that's not needed. All right, now that that's all taken apart, the first thing we're gonna do is actually start disassembling all of this. So essentially you just undo all these bolts. I'm gonna keep them together with the little Allen bolts on the other side. But the reason we have to do this is to basically like lube everything back up, because it doesn't come with any lube on it at all. So you got your housing, spring, the actual shifter, and the plate up here. But we'll just set this aside for right now and worry about the housing. So actually a quick pause from what I was just doing. This kit does not come with grease, or mine didn't at least. So you're gonna have to go to O'Reilly's and buy some. So that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm just gonna do this really quick, and we'll get back to putting this thing on. I am back now. So the bracket's dry, and we're gonna get on to what we're gonna do next with the housing. The grease I got also is just like some multi-purpose white grease, but that's all you really need for this. So when you're putting the housing in, you're gonna wanna align the reverse lockout notch to the right and drop it in just like that. And then take your bolts for it and thread them in through the back. Once you run them down, you're gonna torque them to 6 foot-pounds. I'm just gonna go ahead and use the good old guesstimation on this one, but it's not really that much, so just don't overdo it really. All right, now we're gonna disassemble the shifter so we can grease everything up in there. All right, so once you have all the bolts out and the shifter is all apart, you're just gonna throw a bunch of grease in here and then on this end piece, and also on the little ball part. All right, it's all greased up. Now we're basically just gonna put it back together. Just be really careful when putting these screws back in, just because this is plastic and it strips really easily. So just like they tell you to just hand tight it and no more than that. So from there, just make sure everything lines up with these notches and just put it back together. Also make sure that the reverse lockout pin and the notch is lined up. And it's all back together. Okay, so next we are going to go back to the base and lube this up as well inside here. And then, aligning the reverse lockout, slide this down inside. Forgot a step. Before you slide it in, you want to throw your spring in there first, and then you're good. Put this thing in. From there, just gonna throw the plate on top. We'll adjust it later, and then washers, and then nuts. Basically, you want to tighten these down to where you can still move this around so we can adjust where the lockout plate sits. Now, since the shifter is pretty much together, we're going to go ahead and move on to the transmission. So first thing you want to do is pop this boot off to where you can find this pin that holds this whole assembly on. And we're basically just going to hammer that out and then pull this away, and then I'll get on to the next step. So I just got back from school. I actually ran out of time trying to get this stupid little pin out. I got a tool that will work for it now, but let me show you exactly what I mean. So there's this like little cottering pin in here. It seemed really easy, but there's actually like 2 cotter pins in there. And, sorry, let me focus. One of them, the center one, you have to punch out before you can punch out the other one, I'm guessing, because the other one can't like collapse and like slide out, because this one's in there keeping it from doing that. But the only thing small enough to push it out was this like Allen wrench, and there's just, I couldn't hit that with a hammer and actually put force on it. So I found this little pick thing, and that should actually do the trick, hopefully. It's actually too small. It just keeps going inside of it. I'm probably gonna have to find a little bit bigger of a one, but I'm just going to get back to this tomorrow because it's like 11 p.m. and I was just at school for 5 hours and I want to sleep. So I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So let's finish this up. So I got this thing out. I threw it because it was super annoying. But actually, here's a new one so I can show you. But yeah, it basically sat in there like this. But like I said, there's another pin on the inside of this that kept this from like closing in and actually like being knocked out. So I ended up cutting this so it wouldn't slip in and just try to expand everything. So yeah, it's a pain in the ass though, so be prepared for it. All right, next we're gonna grab the dog leg and we're gonna basically just like test fit it onto here. And then we're gonna mark this and basically trim it off so this isn't hitting part of the shifter once it hangs down. So I'm just gonna do this so we get a general idea. Okay, I forgot my Sharpie, so I'm just gonna like slightly notch it with this, and then I'll take it off and then cut the whole thing. Okay, so I didn't cut enough, so I'm just gonna trim it a little bit more. Okay, now you can see the holes lined up and it sits pretty much flush. So that's basically how you want to have it.
So then you take your little retaining pin and stick it in with one hand because you're holding a camera. Once you get it on, then you mount the shifter. So we ran into a problem, which is honestly a little bit frustrating because it's literally just the quality of this, which I was hoping to be a little bit better. But let me show you. Basically, the bushing sits on here like this. I'm gonna do it backwards so it's easier to see with the camera, but it doesn't fit any differently. It doesn't fit into the dog leg. Now, it looks crooked, oops, because I'm trying to do it on camera, but I've been trying to do this for the past 20 minutes and it just doesn't fit. And I don't want to drill this out because I don't have a good enough drill bit to keep this smooth, and it's just gonna mess this like soft metal brass bushing thing up. So yeah, that kind of sucks. Well, I guess I'm gonna just end the video there because it's not working. So hopefully they can send me a new dog leg or something that actually fits. But yeah, another thing about this channel, obviously it's not gonna be how-to stuff all the time. So I'm gonna try to start vlogging a little bit more, make things more interesting. But I'm not gonna like work on the build any slower or anything like that. So don't worry. But you know, like for example, this weekend I'm gonna go to Willow and help Odie out with his S14.5 since they're testing and stuff, since it's like the preseason for Formula Drift. And hopefully I can try to film some stuff. I don't know if he'll let me or not, but he probably will. And then eventually there's gonna be a lot more driving on this channel once everything's done, which also may include a trip to Japan that I've been planning out. It's not gonna happen till next year, and it's like 80% going to happen, so don't like count on this crazy trip that's gonna be super fun. But I am planning to go to Ebisu. I am planning on buying a car or going in on a car with a person, and I'm planning on jumping it at Minami and doing all kinds of crazy stuff with it and crashing it and having a lot of fun, breaking people's doors. So I hope that gets you guys kind of excited, even though it's not gonna happen for like a year, or it might not happen at all, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen. But yeah, so stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching. This build's about to kick off a lot harder since the roll cage in the car is almost done and it's about to be back in the garage. So yeah, stay excited, and hopefully all 80 of the viewers that watch right now will keep on watching. But like I said, leave a like and comment if you have any questions. Thank you guys, and I'll see you later.